streams of mercy never ceasing, call for songs of loudest praise. Teach me some melodious sonnet sung by flaming tongues above. Praise the mount I'm fixed upon it, mount of thy redeeming love. Here I raise my Ebenezer, hither by thy help I come, and I hope by thy good pleasure safely to arrive at home. Jesus sought me when a stranger, wandering from the fold of God, he to rescue me from danger interposed his precious blood. How your kindness yet pursues me, how your mercy never fails me, till the day that death shall loose me. I will sing, oh, I will sing. Oh, to grace, how great a debtor daily I'm constrained to be. Let thy goodness, like a fetter, bind my wandering heart to thee. Prone to wander, Lord, I feel it. Prone to leave the God I love. Here's my heart, Lord, take and seal it for thy courts above. How your kindness yet pursues me.
Put the sodas away. Okay, quit. Hide the stuff. Good evening, everyone, and welcome back to Mission 26, third night of our effort to be together to try to help each other get to perhaps a deeper place in prayer and a more engaging and fulfilling prayer life. So it's great just to remind everybody we have Sister Gabriella, from the Flemington Carmel out there in by virtual miracles, and Susan Delaney Chomer right here in from Plainfield by whatever it is, what street you come down, and Phil Russo, who's here by way of Amwell Road.
Yeah.
So, and it's good to be back with everybody together. Bob has put a question up for you, and for those of you who, there's last week's can, and for those of you who are able to share comments, it would be great. One of the things as pastor that concerns me, we all have different roles here, and one of mine is to keep an eye on how we're doing. Right? We all want to do that. But before and after masses this weekend and some emails from folks, I've had some experience of people feeling perhaps like one of the byproducts of Wednesday nights is you feel like you're not doing a great job in prayer, or that you don't measure up, or you have these are the varsity and you're the junior varsity, or whatever else it is. And we just want to see how people are feeling about that. So while we're waiting for them to come in, if anybody would mind sharing their comments, I would just ask Sister and Susan and Phil, what are some of the things you want people to keep in mind when they feel inclined to say, oh, that's the way they do it, and I must be getting it wrong, or I must be not doing something right, or whatever else it is. Sister, would you mind giving us a little bit of thought? I would think that when women come into the Carmel, some of them have to be encouraged, and they might go through periods of dryness and think, you know what, I'm not praying like a Carmelite should, or whatever else it is. So what's been some of your experience of that, right?
Well, I'm going to start off with an incident that happened when another sister and I were down at the doctor's office. We were sitting in the waiting room, and a man comes up and asks, "Do the nuns have visions?" And one of the sisters retorted, "20/20 with their glasses on."
Yeah.
We don't see God. At least none of us have ever said that we do. We know by faith that He's with us. He's with me here. He's with you there. He said He's with you. I'm with you always. And it's basically believing that there's somebody on the other end of the telephone, even though you don't even hear him breathing. I'm going to say what I'm saying. And even if you answer by silence, I'm going to accept that as a reply.
Okay. Okay. What about encouraging new sisters as they come into the place? Whether it's in an official capacity or in a conversational capacity, you get to talk. What's the daily, like? How often do you guys get to talk to each other?
Well, we have 2 hours of recreation a day, after 1 hour after dinner, another hour at the evening. But that's in general. For one-on-one talks, it's less often, and usually with the novices, those who are still in formation, they haven't got the formation for how to handle a spiritual conversation. They're there to learn. So part of the problem is there is a different mindset when you're religious. The prayer doesn't change so much, but the community interactions do.
Keep
And
going.
with us in Carmel, prayer is essentially being with Him because we know He's with us.
And even though that's not a felt experience, a lot of the time, it's an act of faith. It's an act of
faith.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's an act of commitment.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Um,
And it's something that people go through, right? Like new nuns go through it, and it's a thing that happens. They feel like
Sooner or later, everybody goes through it.
yeah.
Because the only way you can improve your listening is by going deeper into less noise, and less noise interiorly. Obviously, we don't have a lot of noise in the monastery, but our minds are usually going nonstop, and we have to learn to listen beyond that. Just the way you look beyond somebody who's in front of you and making all sorts of gestures.
Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
Yeah.
You have to learn to listen beyond all those thoughts that just keep coming at you.
Okay. Yeah. Let's check in with some folks here, and then we'll check in with
Yeah.
each other a little bit more. So I just saw Debbie Katz there. Yeah, Debbie, thank you very, very much. It's stressful. It makes me feel like I'm not deep enough in my faith. Sister, how do you want to respond to Debbie? And let me give you an idea of who Debbie is.
Okay.
Debbie's a very, very active parishioner. Debbie is a genius when it comes to helping us write. She does the funeral bios. So
Oh,
when somebody
bless her.
dies, no matter if I've had a cup of coffee with them 1,000 times or I've never met them, Debbie shows up. She puts these people at ease. She gets them to tell stories. Sometimes it's hard, but we're always trying to get people to tell more stories because it makes the homily write itself, right? Debbie's involved with a bunch of different stuff. Debbie supports a whole bunch of ministries here. Her unique position in the church is as the funeral biographer. And she truly keeps an eye on this. Debbie lost her husband, Jerry, I think it was about a year ago. He was a great swimmer, an architect, and she... Just to give you an idea where Debbie's coming from a little bit, we do the 101 Christmas trees here, 120 Christmas trees, And Debbie has been known to, this year, she decorated her Christmas tree with one of Jerry's Speedos and his goggles and a bunch of his medals.
Love
so
it.
Debbie's not like some church mouse kind of person. Debbie's like the real deal. You know what I mean?
Right.
She has a good sense of humor. She comes from a big family. She knows how to brawl, all that other kind of stuff, right? And just a great sense of humor, too. So Debbie's been joining us, and Debbie's the one who says, Debbie clearly is a church person, and I feel very challenged by what she says here, and I hope that Donna is out there too, because Donna said something similar. So yes, it is stressful. It makes me feel like I'm not deep enough in my faith. do
Okay,
you
I'll
say?
answer that one by saying I've never really done a actual mountain climbing, but I have done some hiking. And when you look at your goal, the mountain that you're, or the hill or whatever that you're going at, especially the mountains, it looks fairly far away, but within reach. The closer you come, the farther the horizon recedes, and the higher the mountain looks. As far as faith goes, we're always just inching toward the summit. There's always immeasurably more to discover
Right. For all of us.
for all of us.
For every last one of us, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
We're dealing with an infinite God.
And correct, an infinite God, and who offers us an infinite experience of Himself. When we get to the beatific vision, God willing, we're going to be able to sort of get our hearts and our heads and our souls around it, right?
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
until then, it's always a challenge to go a little bit more deeply. Susan.
There's always more to discover.
Yeah, no matter what. And so if we feel challenged, that's okay, right?
Yeah,
That's okay.
That simply means you're beginning to see how much there is for you to discover.
Yeah. So, Susan, what do you think? What's your thought for Debbie? Because you do spiritual direction. I'm sure people come to you
Yeah.
and say, I feel inadequate in prayer or something else, right?
Well, the question is, what are you looking for? What are you expecting? You know, what is your desire? But a lot of times, just showing up, like the fish who's in the water and he learns about water in school and he goes to the top and he goes to the sides and to the beaches and says, "Mom, I've been looking for water all day. I can't find it." Right? You're probably in your prayer. You're probably absolutely connecting with God, but perhaps you're just looking for more. Doesn't mean that it's empty. It doesn't mean that it's not right. It's just your heart desires more, perhaps.
Okay.
Right.
Your heart desires more. And that desire is itself a gift from God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Phil.
I think their question was, what do you want them to take away? And I think the first thing that came to my mind is that this isn't the experiences that I've shared. That's not where I'm at all the time. Those are mountaintop moments.
Yeah.
And my faith undulates, and there's more plateaus than there are peaks, and those mountaintop moments are so amazingly wonderful. That's what makes them stand out. That's what makes me want to move forward and keep going. But that's not the normal. The normal is kind of, I don't want to say drudgery, but the normal is that routine, everyday stuff. So don't compare yourself, and certainly don't compare that mountaintop moment to what a normal day is.
Yeah.
Right.
So, right, the comparison question, we're going to come back to that. Debbie, one thing I want to add is, you know what, maybe this is a little bit of a first-time experience for you, that perhaps you maybe haven't had a conversation before. I don't know. You certainly had a lot of experiences in your life. By the way, she went to Katie Gibbs, and she does like 7,000
Oh my
words.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
She's like a
I
total
did
hero.
that.
She's a total hero. So, Debbie, is it possible that maybe you haven't gone to 30,000 feet before and asked the questions? Like what we're doing right now is asking people to come up in the tree or up to the mountaintop and just take a look at, wow, what does my prayer life look like from a distance? Like, I'm just trying to get a position on myself right here, right?
Yeah.
I just want to take a look. And I don't know about you all, but when I entered the novitiate, that was the first time anybody ever asked me to think about, to question my life of prayer. What are the pieces? What does it do? When the guy walked in, when I walked into one of my interviews, and the guy said, so who's your favorite person in the Trinity? Who's the one you go to? And I thought, well, you idiot. Anybody knows the answer to that question. It's Jesus. What am I supposed to, is this a trick question? Is this like is this bad? What is this about? But the whole idea that you talk about your prayer life and you take a look at it, and not so much to evaluate, just to look at it, right? So
Yeah.
Debbie, here's my hope for you, in particular, is that maybe instead of feeling like you're flunking out of God school or whatever, I forget the phrase you used, but that you were feeling a little bit stressed. What was the actual phrase? Bring it back. There we go. That
Faith,
big
her
picture.
faith is inadequate.
Yeah, my
Not
faith
deep
is not
enough.
deep enough.
Yeah.
Not deep enough.
I have to just I mean, deep enough for what? I mean,
Right.
your faith is deep. But is this an opportunity to feel that tension of, well, let me just take a look at where I am, right? Let me just stop what I'm doing and take a look.
Yeah.
And maybe if that's a little bit of a novel experience, it's almost to be expected that you're going to feel, maybe I don't measure up. But that's not the point. You do measure up. There's no measuring to be had.
Right.
There's no measure. You can't
Yeah.
measure it.
Right. It's like love, truth, or beauty. So what about the comparison thing? Like, you alluded to it.
Yeah.
What's your advice when we feel like we're comparing? I mean, I get it that if you're sitting in church with Father Hank, you know, you're gonna feel like the JV because he glows all the time, right?
There's an
That's
aura.
what you were thinking.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
That's what you were
Yeah,
saying.
yeah. It's hard not to. It's hard not to
Yeah.
look at somebody and say, wow, that person is so prayerful, and that's not what I do.
Yeah.
It takes, you've got to be conscious of where you're at and take a step back from yourself and say,
Yeah.
just be okay with where you're at.
Yeah, and that there's this guy named Alfred Marshall. I'm sure you'll want to hear this. In the 1890s, he was trying to figure out in economics about how to compare satisfaction. And so I give you a cheeseburger, and you say, "Oh, that's that cheeseburger." You had these imaginary units called utils, and you say, "Oh my God, that's a 5,000 util cheeseburger. It's the best thing I ever ate." And you say, "Oh my gosh, that's a 3 util cheeseburger. It's the best thing I ever ate." Right? We have completely different expectations, different
Right.
scales, different everything.
Right.
Right? We're coming from completely different frames of reference, so we
Right.
can't. And as he said, you can't make interpersonal comparisons of personal utility. To convert that to the spiritual life, you can't make interpersonal comparisons of personal spirituality, of personal prayer.
Right.
There's nothing, you cannot do that.
Yeah.
Right?
No.
So, Debbie, back to the thing you just said there
The
about
novena.
about the novena. So, what I would ask, and Debbie, how about we do this? This is always everybody's favorite. Why doesn't the whole group circle you? And we'll do it like a big group therapy session, and we'll all figure out. Sister, remember the chapter of faults? Did they ever have the chapter of faults in the Carmel? The chapter.
Yeah,
of,
but we're phasing it out.
Yeah,
I mean,
They did that in the Jesuits, and everybody would get picked and
Yeah.
say, "Okay, let's put so and so in the middle of a circle," and then 30 guys in the community get to say, "What's the matter with brother?" Right?
Oh.
We're
No,
never
we don't
gonna
do
see
it that
Debbie
way.
again.
Oh, they did it for a long time. Brother rattles his rosary beads too long. Brother grinds his teeth. Brother studies too hard. Brother is this. Oh, please. So, Debbie, maybe we're all going to circle you and figure out. Let's get Debbie to the 7th interior mansion before the night is over. We'll make her our project, right? So, for me, Debbie, I want to challenge you to look at the grace that's involved in it. And I
Yeah.
realize that sometimes
Yeah.
we speak of delightful gifts and difficult gifts, right? Delightful gifts. If I tried really hard, I mean, I could make this chair levitate, and you'd all think that's a great trick. It's a great party trick, right? You know what I mean? But I'd have to do it when people are around.
Right. Yeah.
But that's a delightful gift. But sometimes my own experience is that some of the biggest, it's like that country western song, "Thank God for Unanswered Prayers," but thank God for difficult gifts. I mean, and I think the challenge of accepting where you are and feeling a little bit uncomfortable about that, Debbie, I hope that feels like not a challenge to do something different, or not that you're doing something wrong.
How about a challenge to notice? So sometimes things are happening, but you don't notice. So if I ask you, well, what happens when you pray? Most people don't think about that question. And then you pay attention, you start noticing. And then maybe as I'm praying in the morning, nothing's happening. But then later on, instead of having road rage, I actually let someone pass me. See, but now I'm paying attention. I'm noticing that Christ was with me somewhere during the day. So maybe there's a deep connection there. It's just a question of not noticing, right?
I
That
really like.
reminds me about what I often tell our novices in the spiritual life. There are road signs, but they're always behind you.
Except in Bruce
You look over
Almighty.
your
Yeah,
shoulder
yeah, yeah,
and
yeah,
the
yeah.
arrow's pointing this way, but you only notice it when you've passed it.
Right.
And so to look back and how you were a week ago, a month ago, a year ago.
Yeah.
Golly, I've grown.
Yeah, right. And sister, I so appreciate that. And what Susan says about the noticing.
Yeah.
We all come to Wednesday nights like prepared. We've had advance notice and talk about the things that we're noticing. You're doing it for the first time. Maybe you're noticing for the first time. So we're all ready to go. And my bet is that if any of you were here having this conversation, you would, if you'd had advance notice, you wouldn't feel like you were in the JV.
Right.
Right?
Right. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And journaling is good. That helps you notice
Yeah, journal.
sometimes.
Yeah.
Right?
Journaling goes back to the beginning of religious life, back to St. Anthony of the Desert.
So, speaking of which, I have a favor to ask of my friends here. If you hear that I have gone to God, would you please go in my room?
And
I
burn.
have a journal entry from every day since I entered religious life.
Wow.
So I either want you to sell it and make a really lousy movie out of it, or just make a big fire out of it, okay?
You got
So when you hear I croak, just go in my room. They're all on the same shelf, and there's racks and racks and racks of them, okay? And all I can do is, when I read them periodically, I think, oh my God, I used to be really holy. I mean, Debbie, or everybody, it's one thing to feel like I haven't gotten to the mountaintop yet. The only thing worse than that is, oh, I used to live at the mountaintop.
used to be there.
I slid off the mountain.
And now it's just like, oh my heavens above. So
You're in good company. St. Patrick felt the same.
Oh, did he really? That
Yeah.
the heights from which we have fallen.
Well, he remembers when he was a shepherd, a slave in Ireland, and he says, my spirit was fervent then, and I prayed all day. Well,
Yeah.
then he had to work.
And pay taxes and kill snakes, right? Let's get Mary Silverio is one of our. She does such a great job with those kids of hers. Mary, thank you very much for taking the kids out into the pavilion last night, and I'm sure it was a rollicking good CCD night for them. So Mary says, as a cradle Catholic who was never privy to these types of conversations about prayer growing up, I used to feel ashamed and lesser than, like I wasn't praying the right way. So that's the great topic for the night. Sister, what's the thing about Anthony of Yonkers? What was not Anthony of Yonkers? What was the one
Anthony of the Desert.
No, Anthony of the Desert, but then there's the other guy. Who was St. Dominic's successor?
Jordan of Saxony, Blessed Jordan of Saxony. He was a
You knew
Dominican.
that.
I was
Jordan
going to say
Saxony.
it, but
Yeah.
I was going to say Jordan of Saxony.
Oh,
Yeah.
you weren't too far off.
Yeah. Yonkers, Saxony. So, what remind us of?
Okay. He was a Dominican, the successor to St. Dominic, and somebody once asked him, what is the best way to pray? And he came back, the way in which you pray the best.
I like that.
Yeah.
keeps it to
There's
There's
not
no
some
right or
there's not
wrong
some
way.
there's not some objective standard out there that everybody has to do the same thing, right?
Because prayer is a relationship. You know, what's the best way to be with your friend?
Just hanging out.
Yeah. Sharing coffee.
Yeah.
Or ice packs.
Yes.
Yeah.
We had a friend of ours who commented on a site that I work in, and he said, "I have tea with Jesus."
Really?
So he sits down, he has his tea, and he makes it a prayer.
Huh. I really like that. Well, that's like the thing that you do with some of your directees, where you go into the garden in their brains, right?
Yeah.
And you get to walk in there. So, Mary, one of the things I want to tell you that I want to respond is that, we're all a work in progress. And what Sister said before about getting to the top of the mountain and then beyond, every one of us is called to that next step in prayer, and whatever that means, listen, Mary, here's the deal. And I'm going to embarrass you a little bit too, like I embarrassed Debbie. Mary, look at the stuff you do in the course of a week, right? As a mom, as a wife. Rob's the greatest guy, and he has to be on the road sometimes, and you cover all the bases, right, for his work. Mary, look at the way you took care of your mom when that brain cancer was just the worst thing in the world, and you absolutely never let her be alone. There was not a moment. You know that, right? and your kids learned how to love somebody who was in a really tough spot. That was an extraordinary set of lessons for you to teach them. I was in awe of the way you did it. The way you did it with your sisters, the whole thing. I don't see how somebody who is that full of love and care and genuine concern could have any questions about their prayer life. It gets back to that thing that Sister and I were talking about last week of, the one guy has this experience of prayer. He wants to talk to the novice master about how he's gotten to the 7th interior mansion. And the novice master says, oh, that's very interesting. Can you go clean up Father Fernan? No. And then he says to the other guy, can you go clean up? He says, I have mediocre experience of prayer and I'm not sure what it means. And the guy says, can you go clean up Father Fernan? Sure, here I go. It's the one that led to greater love. It's the prayer life that expresses itself in greater love. And Mary, just look at the loving things that you do all the time. And listen, I'm not trying to canonize you. That's too much of a burden. That's way too much of a burden, right?
I have an example of that.
Go ahead.
I mentioned St. Anthony of the Desert. Well, one of his followers, St. Macarius, who was very ascetical, and he was the founder of community life and everything. And he admitted himself that he was given the revelation that however holy he was not as holy as 2 married women in a certain town. So he went to the town and he found two women. They were married. They spoke no rash or gossipy words. They put up with the humors of their husbands. They sanctified their work with prayer, and they were holier than a great saint.
Yeah, I'm with you. Did I ever tell you guys the one about the time the Christmas trees got knocked over? I think I told you, sister. So I'm one of 8 kids. Did I ever tell you this? Mrs. Sheehan, she had 12 kids.
Doesn't sound familiar.
Okay, and they had a disastrous Christmas. We had a disastrous Christmas. Our dog was sick. Granny got incensed. Everybody was in a bad mood. Everybody's just so crabby and cranky, and it wasn't a great Christmas. Mrs. Sheehan stops over for some reason. She's got 12 kids at home. She comes over to tell my mother that Father Sullivan is on the prowl. Our pastor at home used to go around and give out boxes of oranges, and you were supposed to give him money for a trip to Florida. That was the understanding. It was this really funky routine that he had. And Mrs. Sheehan and my mom and Mrs. Sheehan had spoken after the kids all opened their 4,000 presents. The 20 kids between the 2 moms, right? And Mom had spoken to Mrs. Sheehan. And Mrs. Sheehan, Father Sullivan comes over to Mrs. Sheehan's house and said, so how are you doing? And he had this Irish accent. How are you doing, Mary Jane? She said, it's a lousy day. Don't ask Father. And how's our friend Lucy? Oh, she's having a lousy day too. It just really stinks. And he said, when it gets like this, you really ought to think of the Blessed Mother and all that she went through on Christmas. And Mrs. Sheehan, without missing a beat, said, yeah, her and her 1 kid. Right? Like don't try to compare me to the rest of them, right?
Yeah.
Like those are different things. And you want to find out what holiness is? Holiness is clean up after the dog barfs all over the rug on Christmas Day when you're trying to have 45 people in the house and being nice about it. You know what I mean? Holiness isn't about like I'm having some vision that makes me see Mother Teresa in the Cinnabon, right?
Yeah.
Can we see what Shaban says here? Our old friend Shaban. We're gonna get a great voice from the Jersey Shore. It's like the voice of the North Jersey Shore. Helpful? Question mark. Our prayers may be awkward. Our attempts may be feeble, but since the power of prayer is in the one who hears it and not in the one who says it, our prayers do make a difference.
Is that Max Lucado?
Yeah. Our prayer is in the power of the one who hears it,
Not in the one who says it.
And Siobhan, of course, my next question is, so I'm going to play hardball for a second. Jersey Shore, swamp person to swamp person. Does that mean that sister's going to pick on me. Does that mean that if we're sitting in the rain talking to ourselves, that's okay? Like, even if we're not really giving ourselves to prayer or paying attention to it, we're kind of going through, like I said, my evening beats, a significant portion of the time are mindless words, right?
Well, why do you say them?
I don't know, because I'm too chicken not to say them. I don't know. I'm on a perfect record when I die. I think there's going to be,
This is a scorecard.
A scorecard, and in this, I think the Russian judge's going to give me a 10 when it comes to rosaries. You know what I mean? That we're going to say. That's the question. But sister, why do any of us do it if it's just a routine? If it's just a routine.
If it
Right.
were just a routine, you wouldn't be doing it. You'd be out having a hamburger and going to the races or whatever you like to do on your day off.
A day off. Yeah.
Yeah, what's that?
Um, why do we? Okay. Anyhow, I'm enjoying listening. That will be enough.
It centers
Yeah.
you. Does it
Yeah.
center us? It centers us. So even if I am having a day that's a little chaotic,
Or a lot chaotic.
or yes, then I know that prayer centers me, even if it's not mystical and if I'm not hearing anything, but I know that it will center me. Right? So just
Well, that's
showing up.
something that's God at work in you because we can't really center ourselves.
No. Oh, you bet
We
I
can keep
can't.
trying, pull.
Can't take that one to the bank, sister. I can't. Yes, ma'am. I cannot center myself. No siree. Yeah, yeah.
Your mind goes in one direction, your emotions go in another. Your stomach is growling because it can smell what's
Yeah.
coming for supper. I mean,
Or there's just chaos all the time.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
so if you're centered, God's at work.
Right.
And if you're not centered and you're still in prayer, God's at work.
Right.
So how about we kind of agree everybody's got a next step. Community is really helpful to the extent that we encourage one another and support one another, and unhelpful if it makes us compare ourselves to one another.
Yes.
You down with that?
Yes,
That's fair.
definitely.
Yeah. So the role
Yeah.
of community is to support one another, not to provide some sort of an objective standard, right?
Right.
Dorothy
Yeah.
Day had a lovely phrase. We're comrades stumbling along.
Oh yeah, yeah. And wasn't it W.H. Auden that we are? How do you put it? We stagger ahead rejoicing. We stagger ahead
That's
rejoicing.
a good, yeah.
Yeah. We should do a whole theme of stagger quotes, like a whole stagger night of, yeah. Bob, any of those that you want us to?
The dark night of the soul.
Yeah, Carol Marquez coming in from the great state of Wisconsin. Welcome aboard, Carol. I'm interested in learning how people deal with a dry spell of prayer, the dark night of the soul. Sister, that's a Carmel question. I'm not touching it.
Okay. Well, I mentioned to Father Hank during one of our emails in preparation of this. St. Francis de Sales, who wasn't a Carmelite, but he greatly appreciated St. Teresa, gave 3 levels of obedience. There's the first level where you do what you're told. There's the top level where you trust what God is doing in your life, whatever He wants, I'm with it. And then in between, he has this marvelous parable of the deaf musician. He tells a story of a great musician, a lutist, I think, who was in the service of a prince. And the prince and the musician deeply respected one another. They were great friends. And the prince loved to hear the musician play for him. And over the years, the musician lost his hearing and he couldn't hear his own music, like Beethoven, who was deaf and couldn't hear his own music. But he was such a great musician that he knew what the music sounded like. So he knew that he was still giving pleasure to his prince. And then one day, the prince called him to his room and told him to play for him. And after a while, the prince got up and walked out. And the musician kept playing. He couldn't hear himself. He knew that he felt like his prince had abandoned him. But he kept playing. And that's when you're giving pleasure to God, even without realizing it.
Yeah. So your response to Siobhan might be, when you're having that dry spot. Well, one of the things, of course, Ignatius says is, when you're going through hell, keep on going. He didn't say that. I think Toby Keith said that. But what he said, something like that, was when you're in desolation, don't change a thing. Just don't change anything.
No.
And I have to tell you that there are 3 pieces of the rules for the discernment of spirits, and that one, I think, both in prayer on a regular basis and in bigger things in life. I'll just give you the one. So when I was on the fence about should I be going to it was that time when I was in transition about should I be in the diocesan priesthood or should I be in the Jesuit? Should I be a university professor with a part-time job at a parish, or should I be a parish person with a part-time job at the university? Back and forth and back and forth. And Judith, my baby sister, was sick, and I've been back and forth on the turnpike for, at that point it was like 9 years, every Thursday, round trip, right?
Wow.
It was a lot. It was great. I'll do it all over again in a minute. But I finally decided, okay, I'm going, and it's going to be great, and I'll be close to her, and the Jesuit Provincial was terrific, and the Bishop up here was terrific, and I signed the form, and I thought, okay, and off I go, right? Now I signed the form in October, and in November she fell out of bed and broke her neck and died, and I thought, okay, this is the worst day of my life. Now I know what the worst day of my life is going to be. But man, I really suffered through that. Well, she's not going to be there. Why should I go now? But a friend of mine, dear Jesuit friend of mine, said, I don't know, and I'm not going through the evidence, I'm not doing anything, but I will tell you this much. You made that choice to move in a state of consolation. You are now in the worst desolation of your life. Do not honor the voices that you hear in a state of desolation.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah.
So that was like the
Absolutely.
most extreme case in my life. There'll never be another one like that. But it's in the most powerful example. It is in the most powerful case. It's a fine example of what goes on in the ordinary day to day. When you make a choice in consolation, do not let the voice of desolation turn you away, because you will make the wrong decision. You
Yeah.
absolutely will. You're under the influence of the wrong spirits, right? You're just pitching in the towel. So, Siobhan, I think that even if you're going through a moment when you think, even if you're somehow thinking my prayer is inadequate, whatever else it is. So that's part of my answer to Sister, in addition to the question about the Russian judge, is I'm usually tempted to quit evening prayer when I'm in a state of desolation. Oh, what the heck with that? He says, God doesn't care. What do I care? It's a bunch of talking to myself in the rain. But then when I'm in a state of consolation, I realize, no, that was done. Just keep doing it. And for those times when you really can pay attention, it's a really okay thing. It's a really, really okay thing. Can I just ask one question? Does my hair look like I'm wearing a really cheap wig?
Kind of.
I didn't want to say it.
So unfortunate.
It's the humidity.
Yeah, it's the humidity. How about we'll just give myself a bad haircut?
It's about time for a haircut, too.
I just went to get a haircut like 2 weeks ago.
Wow, well.
Okay, we're not going to worry about that. Is it better now?
No.
Okay.
Don't worry,
You know
when
what
you're
you
talking, you distract from it.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know what you made me think of? So if you don't show up for prayer, even if it's routine or you think if it's dry, what if that's the day that something happens?
I'm totally with you.
If you don't show up, you can't be there.
Right.
So at least if you keep showing up, you'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
I see what you put up there.
This is the bad hair club. Sister, you're safe. Okay, we're not going to ask. We're not going to ask for any proof, sister. I promise. We're not going to ask for anything.
I'm good. I don't have any.
So, I want to move on to bad hair day. I need to confession. Thank you, Siobhan. No, I just finished. Thank you very much. I've been to confession too much lately. Much more than what my sins require. No, that's not even true. Saint-Tropez.
Saint-Tropez.
Yeah, we didn't know that. Except it's an S rather than a Z. I do it even when it is simply routine, because there are those other days when something just strikes me.
Oh, there you go.
That's what you just
Yeah,
said.
yeah.
Did you cheat? Did you?
I did not do it.
No.
Yeah. And I also feel centered and see things during the day and think back.
Right.
Well, that's pay dirt. Like we've said
Yeah.
that before. It's the stuff when you're in prayer and you think back on it later on.
That's Sister.
Yeah.
Right? She does that. So when she reads scripture.
That's Sister Saint-Tropez?
No, but that's what Sister says.
Oh, yeah,
When she
yeah,
prays it,
yeah,
and
yeah.
all of a sudden something happens
that.
in real life that
Right,
takes you back to the scripture passage. Right.
right.
St. Therese says that was her experience.
Yeah.
Most of her lights came during the day, not during prayer.
Hmm.
Yeah. So, and I do want to throw this one flag in here. and I ask people to think of the difference between these three types of prayer that we're talking about: the routine prayer, the reflective prayer, and the relational prayer. And I know they all go together, the speaking and the listening. For me, there's a real difference in those things. So for me, most of the speaking prayer is I'm not good. Okay, here's the thing. Week one. Wait, Bob, this earpiece is messing up my hair.
That's where it is.
So week one, you all talked about it. Things that help us. Phil, you remember you said something about you're better when you're praying by yourself than when you're praying with people. Susan, you said you're better praying going downhill than cross country. Sister, you
Right.
said that you're better praying when you're not trying to do imagination stuff. You're just doing your thing, right? So for each one of us, there are going to be those experiences of we tend to have more profound. We open ourselves up. I think it's a question of the more we talk about it, the more I think it's a question of availability and noticing and intention, right? Like the more everybody can do it, everybody can give themselves to paying attention more. Here's the distinction I want to make. For me, the big gap between when I'm speaking to God and when I'm listening to God. I think that's what prayer is. It's speaking to God and listening to God, okay? I find it easier to get into that mode, into that relational stuff, I think, when I'm listening, when I'm with the scripture in the morning, when I start to speak, I get in my own way, and there's one prominent exception, and that's celebrating Mass. That's really it for me. And I've told the congregation before, I'll just bore them a little bit more, that whenever I have something in my hands, that's it. When I notice the parts of the Mass, and going through this has encouraged me to think back. So where are those moments when you habitually, let's not say routinely, when you habitually seem to be in that zone, in the mode, in the really talking to God or really listening to God during Mass? And this is just my thing. It's when I have something in my hands. It's at the offertory, it's at the consecration, it's at the Lamb of God, it's at through Him, with Him, in Him. Those are the moments when, boy, oh boy, and it's when I'm speaking. But for me, there's so much more typically in a mode when I'm trying to listen to God than when I'm trying to speak to God.
How do you get to that mode? How do you get to your listen mode?
Well, that was the question last week. One of the things, what helps us to really be able to listen for everybody, it's going to be different for everybody. Some people said fresh air, some people said music. For me, it's I don't want to call them tricks. It's insights over the years. Hank, do this. Don't be an idiot. Don't be an idiot. Just do this, and you're gonna be where you're gonna be able to listen to Him.
Okay.
Especially in the morning. It'd be weird for me to say it in front of everybody, but I can show you in those journals that you're all going to burn for me when I croak. Pretty much in every daily prayer thing, it says exactly what happened in prayer.
Right.
And I know what works and what doesn't
Okay.
work. But for me, it's in the listening and in a very restricted sense in speaking. So I want to put it out to people. Does that make sense as a distinction? Do you tend to be more feeling like you're more connected when you're speaking, when you're listening, or both?
Well, I think there was someone who said they were confused, one of the earlier comments about the three.
Okay, so let's clarify
Yeah.
again.
Right.
So
Yeah.
routine prayer is stimulus response. I pull out the beads, I start to pray. Phil says the body of Christ, and I say amen in the communion line. We hear the Lord be with you and also with you, right? With your spirit, with your uncle. There are certain things, the gospel of the Lord, praise to you, Lord Jesus Christ. There are things that there you go, thank you, Bob. Routine is like a stimulus response situation. And we're kind of we're saying the words and making the gestures, but it doesn't feel like there's somebody else necessarily at the other end of those prayers. And in fact, I think we're not even really asking the question, is there someone else at the other end of these prayers?
Yeah.
Reflective prayer, when I start to wonder about what's going on, I wonder about what the words and gestures mean. I'm paying a little bit of attention. I'm thinking there's something here. This is a beautiful part of tradition. I really love this. I love the way that Moses spoke to the people, I'm really paying attention in a way that I wasn't in routine. It was just kind of going by me. Or when I say this in church, Lord have mercy, Lord have mercy. Like when I do the Lord have mercy in routine mode, I'm just saying those three words, and I don't even think about what they mean. When I say it in reflective mode, I'm saying, wow, I wonder what mercy is, and I wonder why I need it. And there's thought that goes along with it. And in relational mode, it's Lord, and I'm speaking for me, I'm speaking to the living Son of the living God. And I'm saying directly, I know that there's someone out there that I'm speaking and God's listening. Or I'm God speaking and I'm listening. And by the way, sister, I really appreciate what you said last week about keep your hands in your box, okay? Because I started to gesticulate.
You're over
your
here.
hands up. That's like thing just showed up from Soupy Sales. Remember that? Yeah. So
Well, I don't
that's,
want you hitting Susan in the jaw.
yeah. Phil's a different story. Yeah. So the difference between those three different kinds of prayer.
And with that explanation, it was because I was struggling with your question was, do you get there more when you're listening or speaking? And I wasn't sure. With your explanation, I definitely get there easier when I'm speaking to God. It's harder for me to get there when I'm sitting trying to listen to God. My mind will wander too much. And I'm literally this morning sitting there saying, "Speak, Lord, your servant is listening." And I'm thinking, "There's nobody home."
Yeah. Yeah, you missed me.
Yeah.
That message must have blown off the porch.
Yeah.
Yeah. What about you? You speaking or listening mode?
Listening.
Okay.
Listening.
Getting quiet.
I'll put it out there, whatever I need, but then I just have to listen and pay attention.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sister, what about you? Because Carmelite prayer is a lot of speaking too. Right? 'Cause
Actually, not
you do
that
the
much.
office. How many times a day do you do the office?
We do the office, yes, but if you want a verbal prayer, go to the Carthusians. They have a ton of verbal prayers, nonstop practically.
More than you?
The Carthusians.
Yeah, but I'm saying they do more than you do?
Oh, much more. Yeah, we don't really have that much verbal prayer.
How many times do you do the hours each day?
Oh, we do all 7 hours.
Okay, you can just tell everybody. So just tell them what times a day you pray. What times a day do you pray? Doing the hours together.
Okay, we have the Liturgy of the Hours. We have Mass. Those are all verbal. But we also have 2 hours of personal prayer, which, depending on where you're at and what helps you, basically, St. Teresa said, all I'm asking you to do is look at them.
Yeah. Okay.
But
So what about?
I read something I think it was last week. The 3 modes that you mentioned are very similar to the 3 forms of conversation that I think Judith Glaser came up with. The first is basically business. Do this, give me that. I want that, information, exchange of information. The second, positional, is where I'm at, how I see things, my opinions, what I want to share. And the third, transformational, is when you're with somebody that you really trust and you can let down the defenses and be with them, talk with them, listen to them. But the 3 modes of prayer are very similar to the kind of conversations that we have with people.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And it all depends on how much you trust the other person.
Right.
Yeah.
To be vulnerable, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you can't be vulnerable with somebody you don't really trust.
Yeah. So, oh, by the way, Linda, yeah, I understand the Russian judge is really harsh, especially these days. With my luck, I get to the pearly gates and the Russian judge will be on duty. Yeah, so is Saint-Tropez, that's not, who is that? I'm trying to see, is that, hold on a second, I gotta look. Wait a minute.
Yeah.
Is that Susan and Serena? Let me see. I can't tell. Okay, I think it might be. No, maybe it's not Susan. Okay, Saint-Tropez, please identify yourself. Not that it makes any difference. It is Serena. Okay, good. Good. I figured
there
it
you
was
go.
Serena. Okay. He's building a terrific new house over on the other side of the river. You got to see it. It's a beautiful place. Yeah. So before we're in the last 10 minutes already, and I really want to turn this one over. And Bob, if you could put the question up there. We want to get the conversation started this week, and then pursue it next week. When it comes to the parts of the Mass, which are the parts of the Mass that you find just naturally most engaging? Remember, the Mass is our perfect prayer, right? In all its glory. So which are the parts of the Mass where you find yourself sort of going through the motions? Which are the ones that you find maybe thought-provoking? And which are the ones where you feel like you're really either speaking to God or listening to God, right? And again, you guys, the only thing that gets you thrown out of school is comparisons to other people, right? That's the only thing that's not cool. That's totally not cool. So don't compare yourself to others. Everybody's taking the next step, and we all take next steps together, and that's what we're doing here. So if you get somewhere near the beatific vision in the penitential rite, power to you. While you're all thinking of that, and that's really what we want to at least plant the seed tonight, and then we're going to take next week. Sister, I'm going to ask you that question first. Are there parts of the Mass that you find that engage you the most, or that you find just naturally speak to your heart, or where you feel like you're speaking to God or listening to God on a pretty regular basis? You know what I mean? Or are there parts that don't?
Actually, the question doesn't make any sense to me.
Cool.
Just to throw a nice monkey wrench in the whole.
I'm totally surprised. I'm shocked.
As I said, St. Teresa said, all I'm asking you to do is look at him. So, as Pope Leo said, the practice of the presence of God, that little book that was written by a lay brother, it's being with him. And the form of being with him will vary. Different parts of the Mass, different parts of the day.
Okay, let me phrase it differently. Can you help me phrase it differently? No, I'm on my own here. Huh? Am I on my own?
I think the question that Bob poses is there something that speaks to you more? Is there most engaging?
Most engaging. Sister, is that a fair way to ask the question or no?
It'll vary from one Mass to another.
Sure.
Yeah. But are there? I
do know somebody who hones in on the consecration, but mostly the wine.
Yeah, amen.
And it's the way the priest holds the chalice.
Wow.
And it just now it doesn't mean it's the only time, but when that happens, that's just for her a very deep connection happens there.
I'm right there during that same moment. I'm
Okay.
picturing myself at the foot of the cross with my hand on Jesus' feet every
wow.
time, right
See?
there, all the time. Yeah. That's the moment for me.
Okay.
Okay, if you want to say at the consecration, I say, Jesus, I trust you. At the host, at the wine.
Yeah.
Sort of more focused on him.
Okay. Yeah, but let me ask the same question. Are there parts of the Mass that routinely get you, like, I really gotta pay attention here?
Yeah, what did I just say? It's
Right.
like driving, and you went through the lights, and was that light green? I have no idea.
I did that today in Perth
What did I
Amboy.
just say? Yeah,
Oh my
yeah.
God! If I ever have to go back to Perth Amboy again, I did that in Perth Amboy.
Yeah.
But is that a prayer or is that distraction? So I can't remember what the prayer was, but I was the first lector that day, and so whatever happened in prayer, I just fell into deep prayer, and I was just, and the woman behind me goes, "You're up." I'm like, oh my gosh.
Mush.
Yeah.
Get with the program.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It could be either or.
Yeah, just sometimes.
Most
But,
times I
yeah.
check it off to distraction or just not. Yeah.
But
Just
is God distracting you, or is your brain distracting you?
I will take that one. So let me go to confession here. Not because I have bad hair, but because I need to go to confession on this one. A place where I continually go to reflective mode, and I realize that I'm in reflective mode, and I don't know that I've ever really gotten out of reflective mode, is in the Gloria. like I always am thinking to myself, wait, what does that mean? What does that mean? And why are we saying it? So I'm not distracted. I'm not like off in space someplace.
Right.
I'm just
No.
thinking like, what does that mean? So, and then so there's 3 or 4 times when we say we praise you, we honor you, we adore you, and I'm not speaking that the you doesn't go anyplace, right? The you is just me saying you. It doesn't. I'm not speaking to someone or expecting to listen to someone. I'm continually thinking about it. It's one of the places in Mass where I overthink, right?
Ponder.
Yeah, and I know that I'm in reflective mode.
Right.
And is that where I want to be? I kind of would rather get to something a little bit beyond that. But that's a part of the Mass that for me, routinely, is like, maybe if I get to the pearly gates, they're going to say, okay, go get the witch's broomstick and then come back when you've really prayed the Gloria authentically, right? Like that's going to be your salvation to get in here.
Okay, so what if you prayed the Gloria reflectively, and then all of a sudden, 3 hours later, you're driving and you get this epiphany, this aha moment? That's the answer to the prayer.
Correct. Or on.
Yeah.
Correct.
So it's not a bad thing.
Right.
No.
Okay.
And during
I mean,
your
you're not
quiet time,
distracted.
right?
You're focusing on the meaning.
Yeah.
It's not as though you're thinking about what you're having for dinner or something. That's a distraction.
Yeah.
To focus on what you're saying and wondering, you're pondering it in your heart or in your mind.
Yeah. Yeah. Do you have times when you just don't?
Don't connect.
Yeah.
Or-
Yeah.
Oh, so yeah. Well, absolutely.
Oh,
I'm
yeah.
just saying, with just words out that I'm. Yeah.
But
And I
are there parts of the Mass where that typically happens to you?
probably the beginning. Yeah. Before I've actually sat down and like gotten into a zone.
And the word gets you into the zone.
What helps me get into the zone is closing my eyes and praying, almost like a teleprompter. Like if I'm saying a prayer, I'm picturing the words in my head. I'm closing my eyes. I'm picturing the word like a teleprompter rolling. That's helping me connect with the words, helping me connect with the meaning of the words, and then I can start to think, okay, that's what that word means. So
So you're in reflective mode too.
absolutely.
You're not speaking to the great I am.
No. I'm reflecting on the words and on the meaning of the words. They may take me somewhere. Sometimes they do, and sometimes they don't. Or into a deeper meaning, or where I'm actually visualizing something. But most of the times, it's me just reflecting on the words.
Phil, as a writer, I'd be very encouraged. If you were doing that with something that I wrote, that's a tremendous compliment to the writer.
Right.
God, that's a really great insight. I love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do we have homework?
Hang on a second. Can we just do 2 minutes of homework? And we want to get back to this question for next week about what helps us to pray in Mass and what helps us to get further into that. But meanwhile, can we talk a little bit about the adventure versus the not
Inconvenience.
Inconvenience. God. Susan?
I got home last Wednesday and we had contractors at the house, and there was some kind of material that was almost like a compact powder or grout something. And as soon as I went to pick it up, it just broke into a million pieces and it was all over. And no matter when I picked it up, it broke apart more and it just smeared and stained everything. And I thought, gee, it didn't take long for my adventure to start. 10 o'clock at night, cleaning the floor, it's great.
Yeah.
Mine was Friday. So Friday morning, before prayer time, I was walking out to get my cup of coffee so that I could do my prayer time, and my wife was coming from upstairs and said the sump pump alarm was going off. It's 6:15 in the morning because we had all the rain and the snow was melting. And so the sump pump, it means the water's filling up and my basement's going to get flooded. And I'm thinking, this is not how I wanted to start my Friday morning. I'm supposed to be sitting on the couch in prayer mode right now, and I'm going down there right now trying to make a disaster not happen. So, so I said, this is I'm going to turn this into an adventure and figure out how I'm going to not let the basement flood, and I'm going to be positive about this. So I just went out to the shed in the backyard and got the pool pump and put the pool pump and just made the best of it. But it could have derailed the whole day.
Yeah.
But I chose not to. I chose to make it. Thank you, sister, for putting that word in my mind. I'm just going to make this an adventure. It's not going to throw me off. But
G.K.
same thing.
Chesterton, I didn't make it up myself.
Okay.
I get that. That happens a lot to me. I get you and G.K. Chesterton confused, and C.S. Lewis is the other one I get confused with you. And wait, did Sister say that, or did C.S. Lewis say that? I think mine was at a time when I had to go with a relative to a doctor recently, and it's a doctor I've been to a half dozen times before, and I came in from a different direction, and I got turned around, and I have a really good sense of direction. So when my sense of direction doesn't work, it's one of the few things in this life that God has given me that really works. And so when my sense of direction gets turned around, it's annoying, it's unsettling, it's all those things. And when I got to the doctor, I realized that my relative had already started to talk to the doctor for like the first 5 minutes, and I thought, I think it was really important for them. I don't want to say that God like threw me in the wrong direction, right? I don't want to say that God made the light go green instead of red. But there was something about it where the irritation just turned into, I'm really glad about that. So I was on the lookout a couple of times this week for the way that might work. Yeah. Colleen, I want to thank you for that. Prayer after communion is the only time during Mass where I feel we can really speak with God. Certainly reflective prayer during the Gloria. See there? I'm a monkey's uncle. And the Creed, much is wrote though. Yeah, got it. Colleen, it's really good to have you here tonight. And I'll leave it up to everybody else I'll leave it up to you if you want to share why it's so good to have you here tonight, this time and the next time. Yeah.
Excuse me, I just read Carol's comment.
Yeah.
Is that like a Jill comment? Yeah.
No, that's a you.
Yeah, Carol was in my parish out there in Wisconsin, and my hair wasn't this color, and it wasn't just sticking up in the air like this. He had my Albert Einstein period. Bob, you would have to put that right up in the middle of everything. Thank you. We know who our friends are. Yeah. So here's the deal for homework for next week. I think we do want to spend time noticing this week in Mass when you go to church on Sunday, without letting it distract you and become its own source of unrest. As you listen to it, take good mental notes. What are those times that just spontaneously seem to, you're there? You know, you're not just going through the motions. Lord be with you and also with you. You know, but there's something to it. What you're saying, and maybe you're thinking about it. Maybe you're really speaking to God. Maybe you're really speaking to God. And I would just ask you to notice if there are times when, and with great gratitude to everybody who's chimed in tonight, great gratitude to everybody who's chimed in tonight. Debbie, I want to thank you from the very beginning for starting off with your real vulnerability thing, but that's one of those great things about her. Debbie has roots in Scranton too. I didn't tell you that. It's about Scranton.
Very
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
All right.
Yeah, Siobhan, we do have our sessions next week. I am going to buzz out of there. Everybody else will be here. I'm going to buzz out of there at 90 seconds to 8. And I will be here, or else Emily's going to come and fill my chair, and she'll have plenty to say.
Rebecca will be here too.
Yeah. We might have a special guest appearance from our seminarian. So, and then I can sit over there and fire questions at these guys. So we'll see how it might work out one way or the other. So yeah, we're definitely going to be on next week, and hope to see everybody at the penance service. Everybody, one of the things tonight was so rich in terms of the thing that you said. I truly wish that I could have responded to everybody. Bob, can you? There's one other that I just. Can you just scroll down on the comments here? Keep going. Keep going. Yeah. Okay. Carol Goodman. That one got away from me, and I just didn't want to let it get away. To me, that's of course Bob made it go away.
Yeah.
I find I need to be quiet or still to hear him, and it takes practice. Hey, everybody. I think that's a golden egg here tonight. Like that's
Yeah, absolutely.
right. Carol, thank you, and thank you. And I hope everybody will take that to heart. And no matter where you are in your prayer journey, in the speaking to God, in the listening to God, no matter where you are, there's always more quiet to be had. There's always more open heart to be had. There's always more availability, and there's always more focus. And not to get too poetic about it, but I think we're constantly moving back and forth. Phil said, it's ups and downs. Absolutely, it's ups and downs. It's like the gross national product. You know what I mean? Is that what you were thinking?
That is precisely the analogy.
I shouldn't think out loud like this. That's going to get into trouble. Yeah, it fluctuates on an upward trend, is what I'm trying to tell you, right?
Relates back to economics.
Everything. It's either I'll leave that one alone. So it fluctuates, and it's always going to fluctuate. And the thing isn't going to stop fluctuating until we get to the beatific vision, right? And then all of a sudden, there's no more. We're consumed. We become like God. That's so hard for us to imagine. We become absorbed into God while retaining our identities. That's what happens. So every one of us is called to that. And so, Carol, thank you very, very much for reminding us. No matter where we are or what we're doing, it's always going to be the challenge to get a little bit quieter, a little bit quieter, a little bit quieter. A little less distracting, whatever else it happens to be. Okay? So, what am I forgetting? Just close down prayer. Good. Well, let's pray together. Thanks, everybody, very, very much. Great comments tonight. Keep them coming for next week, and don't be shy. Yeah, as if you need to be reminded. Protect us, Lord. There we go. And together we pray. Protect us, Lord, as we stay awake. Watch over us as we sleep. That awake we may keep watch with Christ, and asleep rest in his peace. And may the Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord be gracious to you and make his face to shine upon you. May the Lord keep you mindful of how much he loves you. May the Lord lead your hearts truly, truly in the pathways of peace. May the Lord help you to see and to love the gifts of prayer that God has given you, no matter what those gifts are, difficult, delightful, or otherwise. May the Lord keep you believing that you really are speaking to God and that you really are listening to God. And even if it seems like humdrum, may the Lord give you a great spirit of gratitude for that gift of perseverance. And may the Lord grant you that restful night and a beautiful tomorrow. And we pray all this in the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit.
Amen.
Amen. Nighty-night. Love you guys.
One bread, one body, one Lord of all, one